Hey YouTube, it's Sunday.
Why are you such a copycat?
And this week we're gonna talk about the most embarrassing part of my life, my Twilight phase. Now my Twilight phase went a lot further than just liking Twilight. That turned into a whole vampire phase, and then Bite Me, which I'm gonna read an excerpt from. So last night I went to this party and I was talking to one of my friends and I was telling her about my Twilight phase. I don't even remember how it came up anymore. I was drunk at the time, but she said that I should tell my Twilight phase story on camera, and I was like, you know what, that's actually kind of a cute idea. And because I never plan things out ahead of time like I should, I decided to do it for this Sunday. So I read Twilight when I was a sophomore, I think, in high school. I don't know, maybe I was a freshman. I don't even remember anymore, to be honest. But anyway, my teacher, Miss Pendleton, had it in there, and we had like reading time every week, which I loved. It was awesome, but I actually didn't have a book that week, and she was like, well, you can pick from these back here. And one of the girls in my class had been talking about Twilight for a while, because that was right when it was starting to blow up, which actually, speaking of, last night someone told me that Twilight, like, came out in 2008. Did you know that? I did not know that. I didn't read it until high school, but like, what? Anyway, that's beside the point. So I read Twilight in that class, and I was obsessed with it to the point that I went and like checked out all the books from the library, and then I consecutively read them, of course, and then I got them for Christmas, and when the movie came out, I watched it. When all the rest of the movies came out, I watched them. The only one I still have not seen is Breaking Dawn Part 2, because that was when I stopped being on my Twilight phase. So just a disclaimer, I'm not in it anymore, okay. So, okay, I had this friend, we're gonna call her what I called her in the book, which is Alice. So Alice was convinced that she was a vampire, and this is to the point that like she had told like everyone in the school, or at least she had told enough people to the point that like the rumor had gotten around to everyone in the school. This was like serious for her, and I, at the time that she told me, was in my Twilight phase, which of course that's a recipe for disaster. Should not have happened, but it did. So she pulls me aside on the bus and is like, hey, so we've gotten really close. I think it's about time I tell you I'm a vampire. And I was like, what? I was amazed. I was like, good, this is awesome. This is great news. You can bite me. You can turn me into a vampire. I realize now how dumb that sounds, but I did not then. I kind of went through this fantasy of like, oh, well, she could bite me, or one of her friends could bite me, and etc. And to the point, like, she kept coming in and being like, I found another bite mark on me this morning. Look, there are two here, and there are two here, and there are two here. Like, wow, I wonder how that happened. LOL. And because I so desperately wanted to be a vampire, I was so jealous, and I wrote her a note, and actually, when I wrote it, I actually, as I was writing this, copied it down into, I probably should. I copied it into Bite Me. So the note says, Dear Alice, you know it's not fair. The vampires are the only ones who ever get bitten, and the humans, me and Sam, who is one of my other friends, but that's not her real name, that's what I used in the book, are left scarless and desperate. I just wish someone would bite me. Jenny. This is a thinly veiled diary from high school. Like, I wrote in this more than I wrote in my actual diary, and I wrote more details in here than I did in my actual diary, and I counted how many words there were, and I counted the pages, and I wrote notes, and I edited it, and like, the only thing this is missing is like the actual physical copies of the notes, but I copied them straight in here, word for word. Like, what is this? So I thought it would be fun to read an excerpt from this before I continue going on with the story. Okay, I was reading over this earlier, and I could not decide like what exactly I should read from this. Like, I wanted to read like a full chapter, but like all of it is like so ridiculous, so I'm gonna read like excerpts here and there. Now again, most of the things in this book, like this is an actual book, bullshit. Most of the things in this journal that was supposed to be a book are actual real conversations that happen. I just changed the names, like in story times. But this actually didn't happen. This was me fantasizing, and it's really funny looking back now, and like I wonder if this was hinting at the gay. This just goes to show how bad my transitions were, but then like the phone call is like the part that you really need to focus on. So I was just told last night that I'm allowed to babysit now. Apparently 17, which I later changed to 14 because I was actually 14 at the time, is old enough. Or maybe I'm just really responsible. I know they trust me, so maybe it's both. They being my parents, but I, didn't feel the need to elaborate. Anyway, I would love to start babysitting. I mean, I love little kids, and you get paid for watching them. Only problem is, though, no one around here needs a babysitter, so I guess I'm pretty much screwed. Saturday night, I got a phone call. It was Alice. Hello? Is Jenny there? This is Alice. Yeah, what's up? Okay, are you alone? Yeah, good. Listen, I don't have long to talk. You know how I said my friends were ticked off at me? Well, they still are. And I just found out that I'm not a full-grown, so if I bit you, I still couldn't turn you into a vampire. Just drink your blood, which, by the way, smells really good. Sorry, did I offend you? Of course I didn't. You still there? Yeah, I'm still here. Wow, that was, wow. Okay, good. You were just being really quiet. But no, feel free. I mean, I'm not offended or anything. That's fine with me. Cause you know, if you really want to, you can. You want me to drink your blood? Well, okay. When are you free? Let's make a coffee date, except just kidding, you're gonna be drinking my blood, but it's fine. Oh, it was also originally called I Love Vampires, not Bite Me. That was later on. My name is Jenny Renee Price. I am 14, and you'll never guess what I wish for. It all started with Twilight. Everything was Edward this and vampire that, so of course I had to read the rest of the saga. I, just like every other girl in the entire universe, was in love with Edward Cullen. Of course I wanted to be Bella, who didn't? And since she wanted to be a vampire, so did I. And I've been wishing ever since. Dun dun dun! I have this friend at school. Her name is Alice Stewart. Unlike me, her hair is brown, short. Look, that's so hard to read. Her hair is brown, short, and she has green eyes. Mine are blue. She rides my bus, and yesterday she told me her dirty little secret. I tell you my dirty little secret, I drink blood. This is how it went. Hey Alice. Hey Jenny. She sat with me. I noticed her hair was pulled to the side in a hair bow, completely covering one side of her neck. You've gotten pretty close. I have a secret. She looked so excited. Go on, I urged. Well, do you believe in vampires? Yeah, why? I replied suspiciously. I just want to note that I spelled yeah, Y-A. Like not Y-E-A-H, like the word. Like I just did Y-A. Yeah, why? I replied suspiciously. Well, she undid her hair and showed me 2 neat pinholes on her neck. More like teeth marks. Fang marks. I'm a vampire. Wow. I was practically stunned into silence. Yeah, Y-A. I know, cool, huh? She replied. Uh-huh. I nodded. So now I am completely and totally jealous, but not for long. See, I plan to get her to bite me. I mean, that's what friends are for, right? Friends with benefits maybe, but not normal friends. The only problem is she doesn't seem to know what I want. I plan to show her. I underlined show. Or I could just ask, what do you mean show? Like, what are you gonna come in one day and just be like, write bite me and lipstick on your neck and just be like, hey Alice, like what do you mean I plan to show her? Oh my god! Okay, so there was this dude that I liked during this year. I guess this was freshman year because it had to be because that was the year that I had him in theater, but his name was Nick and I had the biggest crush on him. Actually, Connor had a crush on him too, and we were friends with him and I wrote about him in this and wow. Later that night, I was on my bed fantasizing about Daniel Hotson. I did his last name on purpose. His last name was Hot Sun. I thought I was being so cool by doing that. Imagining all the different ways he'd ask me out. As if it were a given. Situation number 1, parentheses, my favorite, parentheses. I'm going to theater. He catches up with me and we walk and talk. Before we enter, he hands me a note. We go in and set our stuff down. I sit on the stage and he sits in his seat. Next to mine! Exclamation, smiley face. I open the note! Exclamation point. Why is that an exclamation point? The note says, Jenny, will you go out with me? Dash Daniel. Dash Daniel. Back at it again with the dumbass notes. I look up and discover he's staring at me nervously. I smile and nod. He smiles in return. Eep! I underlined that and did that in all caps. Eep! I scream in my head. I fold up the note, still smiling of course, and put it in my binder. The bell rings, we say the pledge, and I go sit next to him. Situation number 2. I'm walking to theater. He catches up. We walk and talk. We go in and set our stuff down. Hey Jenny, could you come over here for a second? He's over to the side, alone. Oh, sure. I walk over and he says, I have a question. He seems a little nervous. Yeah? Will you go out with me? He's more nervous than before. Yeah, I'd like that. I smile at him and he relaxes. Oh, okay, cool. He's smiling now too. The bell rings and we say the pledge and sit down in our seats. I love them both, but number 2 is very nerve-wracking, so I'd rather do number 1. That's what she said. That doesn't even make sense. No one has ever had a pooping phobia, and if they have, it wasn't a that's what she said joke. Okay, so this is chapter 7. This is like 4 pages later, and this is on page 38 of this journal. Okay, so I am totally over Daniel Hotson. Yuck! That's all caps and underlined. Of course, he cut his hair like 5 inches shorter. It looks, underlined, horrible. He has like a ½ inch of hair left. But I love Jake Heavenly. He is so sexy. Funny thing is though, now I know Daniel likes me. Ever since he came in with his haircut, I've gotten really distant from him. Because, you know, that's a reason why normal people stop talking to someone. Oh, how dare you cut your hair? I don't like you anymore. Like, what does that even mean? Anyway. And now I realize just how much he messes with me. He pulls on my hair or taps on my shoulders, and when I turn around, he goes, boo! I turn back around and my face blank and indifferent, and he does something else. He's really starting to annoy me. Oh, and Jake's last name isn't really Heavenly. I'm gonna skip this part because there's a reference to who it was actually about. I'd rather not that. Okay, so we just passed the phone call part. And then the next chapter, chapter 8, this is after the phone call happens with Alice. So, I just feel like it's necessary because I literally, okay, this chapter, like this whole thing that I'm about to read to you was literally what I fantasized about every single night. Like, this was like how I imagined this happening, and I just wrote it down after I was like, you know what, I'm sick of fantasizing about it, I want it to be real. Chapter 8. It was about 3 in the morning. I was finally about to fall asleep when I heard someone tapping on my window. My dog, Rocky, was out cold on the floor and my flashlight was dead. So I crept toward the window and peeked through the blinds. It was Alice! Quietly, I unlocked and opened the window. Hi? I whispered. Come on! I climbed out the window and followed her into the woods. Okay, she spun around so fast. Oh. Punctuation, guys! Okay. She spun around so fast that I wasn't sure which way she turned. She handed me a red hair bow that did not go with my pink silk pajamas. I have never owned pink silk pajamas in my lifetime. Where did that even come from? I can dream, Harold! Tie your hair to the side and hold very still. That was when I finally realized what she was doing. Not a lot though, okay? She rolled her eyes. Yeah, I know. Now hold still. She came in closer and I could feel my heart racing. About 2 inches from my neck, she whispered, careful now, you don't want to have a heart attack. Then her fangs sunk into my neck. It felt good, sort of like a dream. Then all too soon I heard a gasp and her fangs retracted from my neck. Then I realized it had been about a minute. It was hard for me to talk and stand. I collapsed right there. I wrote this like in the margins as like an add-on. Wow, this is what happens when you write a book in a journal and not on a computer. What? Her eyes were wide and her hand covered her mouth. Oh my god, you are as white as a ghost. I think I drank too much. No, I feel fine. Healthy as a horse. But she was right. I sounded like a ghost too. No, I'm fine. Healthy as a horse. My insides burned, but I'd probably be fine. She carried me back to my room and sat me on my bed. I'm so sorry, she whispered softly before my eyes drooped closed. She was gone. So yeah, that is not as far as I got. I actually wound up writing, I wrote 57 pages, and on the last page it's auditions, chapter 13. And this happened, I remember this happening, and I didn't finish, like, I only wrote this much of the page and I didn't write anything after that, so I guess I just, like, gave up halfway through, which, like, same. Oh my god! What is that? Oh my god, that's Damon from the Vampire Diaries, and that's me, and it's close up. And here's, okay, I was wondering why there were 2 little holes, like, through every single page, and I was like, well, that's weird, that's why. That's because I did a close-up of my neck on that, and it's just 2 fucking holes. Like, what do you mean? Auditions, chapter 13. It was Thursday, theater day. Also, homecoming week. It was character day. How many days do you mean? Like, stop. I was dressed up as Rosalie from Twilight. I had preppy clothes, sunglasses in my hair, and a vampire cape. It was amazing. I'll insert a picture. At first, people didn't get it. She doesn't wear a cape, so I took it off. Then they told me that ruined it, so I put it back on. I acted like a bitch all day, too. Well, I tried. Smiley face. Also, we had auditions for some new play we are doing. That's where it ends. That's where the story ends. With auditions. Believe it or not, my vampire phase actually went on for years after that. I literally didn't come out of it until, like, probably right before the end of high school. It was not as intense. That was the most intense year of it, obviously, but it still stuck around for a very long time. I read, like, the Blue Bloods series. I almost said Legacy, but I mean, I read House of Night and all of those books, and I was just so into it, and it was insane. And I'm sure there are other details about this that I'm forgetting, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that Alice still thinks that she's a vampire to this day. And there were also 2 other people that we went to school with. I'm not going to say their names, but they were a couple. It was a boy and a girl, and the girl, apparently when she was a vampire too, and apparently when she got hungry, her eyes turned purple, and the guy I think was supposed to be a werewolf or something like that. I really don't even know, honestly. Like, that whole thing was so insane. And the worst part is, like, I can laugh at it now, but the worst part is, at the time, I 100% believed them. To the point, I told my cousin about it, one of my cousins. I was like, yeah, my friend, Alice is going to bite me and turn me into a vampire, when beforehand it was like, she had told her friends to bite me, but then they were pissed off that she was dating a human and fun stuff, and I was like, but yeah, she's gonna bite me, I'm gonna turn into a vampire. And my cousin was also in her twilight stage at that point, and she was like, well, you know, you better bite me after you're a vampire. And I was like, obviously. And it was like a plan. Like, wow. I would leave my window unlocked every single night, like the one that I mentioned in the note, and I would, oh, did I even read that part? I didn't even read that part. Hang on one second. So after Alice told me that she was a vampire, and I told her that I wanted to be a vampire, she said that she would get her friends to bite me. And so I wrote this here note. The rest of the day I was smiling. I was so happy. When I got home, I said hi to everyone, went outside, and squealed my head off. The next day, I wrote Alice's friends a note. Dear Vamp / I really appreciate this. You are the best. Look, my side window is open every night. You look at the house from the road, and all the way to the front right is 2 windows. Those are my front windows. Go to the right side of the house, and the first is my window. It's unlocked, so you can crawl in. Have fun, and thanks. Sincerely, Jenny Price. I got on the bus and handed the note to her. It's for your friends, I explained quickly. She just smiled and stuffed it in her book bag. That happened. That was real life. That's something that I actually did. And yeah, I literally left my window open. Like, it was unlocked every single night for like 2 years. Like, something fucking stupid like that, honestly. It was ridiculous. And I would like lay on my side with my hair pulled to the side like this, or like spread out on my pillow, so that my neck was like always like, you know, exposed is the word that I was looking for. But yeah, I would literally leave my neck exposed every single night and make sure that it was like, and leave my window unlocked, and my bed was right underneath the window. So like if they like jumped it, oh my god, it was obnoxious. Like, that's how into it I was. I 400% believed it, honestly. Like stop. So yeah, I may or may not have missed details, and if I did, then I don't know, I guess I'll mention them later or something, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say, honestly. That's just, this is probably the most embarrassing story time I will ever tell, because holy shit, like, how do you get that, like, fucked up? Anyway. Okay, thank you so much for watching my crazy embarrassing story. My embarrassing life, honestly. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below about your vampire phase, if you ever had one, or just how stupid that was, because that was ridiculous. And, you know, if you liked Twilight and went through the same thing, or if you always hated it and been one of the smarter ones, because I hate it now and I wish I always had, honestly, because that's weird. Please don't forget to subscribe so that my shameless self-promotion is not done in vain. I had more stuff to say, but I don't remember anymore. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Mwah! Stay cool, MeowChiatos. Hey YouTube, hey YouTube, hey YouTube, it's Sunday. We thought you died. Fuck it, I'm dead. Little boulder! Whiplash, sorry. Subscribe. Anyway, kind of psycho mode. What? MeowChiatos? Same. Woohoo! Why does this shit happen to me?
Why are you such a copycat?
Wait, that happened. Okay, I totally forgot about this, but I worked it into my story in, like, this different way, but, like, and, like, added it to my fantasy life or whatever, because that's basically what this was, but, like, holy shit, like, this actually happened, and now that I remember it, like, I'm kind of freaked out by it again. Last night, though, I found a black hair on my computer chair. See, I heard a noise and turned on my lamp. It had sounded like someone sat in my computer chair, so I walked over and looked. Strangely, I found a long black hair on the armrest. I told Alice the next day. She said, oh my god, a vampire! Was it thick? And it was, so I said, yeah. Oh my god, this is so cool! A vampire is stalking you! Eep! I wonder who! And then I, you know, tied it into the person that I made into my fantasy boyfriend in here, but... Huh! Wow, that's really creepy.